Users, I'm one.
I'm one. Phil, however, is not. He's a holdout.
Really?
And
I am
Adam is
so
not
cool.
either.
Why do you decide not to be on Facebook?
Yes, why did you
Especially
decide-
when you own a tech company and you do a lot of things over the internet. Why aren't you on a Facebook?
My company
phones.
is very low tech.
Do you not see the value in social media?
Do you not have software?
Actually, we are getting a Facebook page for my business, but personally, I do not want Gary Green.
Do you have a LinkedIn?
Fourth grade contacting me.
Gary Green might
Now
see
he
the
knows how to
video,
reach you
know.
for Good Morning Geek.
Oh no! Please don't post this on the web. He became a serial killer.
Okay, but seriously, Facebook has 500 million users and growing. Twitter, we worked with 2008, and they had 20 people in their office. And we gave them a year because we said, what the heck is tweeting? Little did we know they were going to change the course of history and topple governments. Think about that, actually, right? Governments have been brought down because of social media. That's
With help
unbelievable.
from social media.
Well, I think it's just the fact that social media organizes people in a way that they've been doing for centuries. I mean,
That's right.
the newspaper first did it back in the 1700s, which brought about the American Revolution. Common Sense by Thomas Paine, for instance.
Well, this time it's faster. It's
It's
like
more
instant.
connected. That's
Yeah.
just evolution. for you.
Immediate.
Yeah. So the world has shrunk. Right?
I don't mind that.
Good.
See,
That's
I think
amazing.
if you can use it, I'll give you a brilliant example of the use of Twitter in the world of the arts where I work. I think it was a Vancouver opera, created a fictitious character called Opera Ninja. And Opera Ninja would go to operas and start tweeting about the opera. So Opera Ninja went to the opera and started tweeting and said, Opera Ninja signing on, I'm at the opera, they're telling us you have to turn off devices, but not Opera Ninja. And then they start warming up and Opera Ninja goes, orchestra warming up, look at those bows, note, possible weapon for Opera Ninja. And then the opera starts, and Opera Ninja starts telling the story, funny story of what's going on in the opera. Reached eventually, like tens of thousands of people were following Opera Ninja who never would have had any interest in opera at all. So
Did it increase their sales?
that's a hard thing.
See, that's the real thing about social media is
Yeah.
that it can increase your sales because social media, because everyone's doing it, that's the only reason that social media is valuable. Because everyone's doing it, it means that when a company is with all the people, the company has a closer connection with everyone else because the friends, people on Facebook, people on Twitter can see the companies mixed in with their friends, and they only go on for their friends. It's kind of like advertising, but willingful advertising.
Well,
Do you
but
see
and
that it's something that would work for every conceivable kind of company? Because
It could.
Sure. You have an
I mean,
audience
that,
somewhere.
frankly, has been the difficulty we've had using it. I mean, obviously, if I played in a rock band that are doing originals, it's obvious how that works.
Well,
but
the thing is, because you do a lot more business to business kind of thing, and you're a lot more connected with specifically businesses, it's more difficult. Because social media is a very consumer-based object and a very consumer-based item.
if you're selling
Except for
something that's not...
LinkedIn.
If you're selling something like a car or something that or real estate, it's something that you're selling that it's not a spontaneous jump on board and buy a ticket thing. Then
Okay.
I can understand how you can gain followers. I'm just not sure how to turn those followers into
I do.
sales.
It's all
If-
about branding.
It
And
is.
if your brand keeps getting in front of more and more and more eyeballs, which is why eyeballs are so valuable.
It's social media is like a more personal advertising. It's an easier, more personal form of
So you
advertising.
And a much
just stay
faster
in
reach.
people's faces a little bit
And
more
it's free.
and then when they need the
When they need it, they'll think,
elite band, whatever your name is. You haven't tweeted me
elite
yet. I don't know the name.
elite show band, yeah.
You have
Right.
to have a call to action also. Like, if you could get everybody, you get people following you and then get people to come hear you. And you're giving away free whatever for the first 100 people that show up.
Noises, yeah.
You could use it to drive an audience to you. It's tough. It's often hard. It's often hard to measure. If 10,000 people follow Opera Ninja, but nobody buys a ticket.
Right.
Well, think about it. If people are following Opera Ninja, they're more likely to buy a ticket.
Right.
Maybe.
You have that many
Maybe.
more people for the next opera season. Somebody like,
But that's the idea,
That is.
We
If you
advertise
keep
both on
hitting-
Google and on Facebook,
There's like no cost
and
involved.
Google
Right.
was getting
Right.
fewer clicks than Facebook.
oh, I believe
But
it.
we're paying, obviously, Facebook gets more clicks, but nobody, we were able to analyze what was happening, but nobody from Facebook was hiring the band. It was all, you may only have 4 clicks a day from Google and 12 or 20 from Facebook, and you're paying the same amount per click. But it was only the people from Google who were actually...
But the Facebook
Hey.
people may have then saw you again on Google, and it's like it goes into the brain,
Well, okay, but do you know
There's a lot
why?
of
How do you
that
measure
is?
it? That's the thing.
Yeah, do you know
Like,
why
do
the
I wanna
people on
spend-
Google were...
Because they're searching for a wedding band.
Ah.
Right.
People on Facebook were seeing it because they
A
had,
friend-
I'm engaged in their profile somewhere.
Right.
And then
they,
it
but
shows
they
up
weren't
on the
necessarily
side.
searching for a band.
Yeah.
The CTR is, I mean, I understand why the CTR would be lower, but I don't understand how to measure. Okay, yes, there's more exposure, but how do you know if that exposure is actually
Right.
turning
That's
into?
the
You have-
old adage
Well,
in-
one may
in
be passive and
advertising.
one may
If you're
be-
buying radio time and it costs the same to hit 1 million people as to hit 10,000 people, what do you buy? Well, not necessarily the 1 million people, because if you're selling classical music and those are all rock, and people under 20, but the 10,000 are classical music lovers, that's where you go.
So targeted audience, even if they're smaller, because if something's more relevant to someone, then it's more
That's
likely
right.
to be more important and higher
right.
up in a priority in their minds.
Both Google and Facebook have allowed us to tweak who our targets are, which was really helpful.
Now, what about
But
LinkedIn for
if you look at the
business
list of
to business?
clicks, people going from Google would stay on the site 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes a piece.
So they're really
Facebook,
searching.
1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second.
Well, that's because the entire point of Facebook and social media is all about enjoyment, about connecting with people and things that you want to be connected to. With Google, as with what we brought up with targeted audiences, it's what you're searching for, it's what you're trying to do.
Right.
With Facebook, what you're essentially doing is you're going through your feed of whatever you're looking at, whatever you're interested in, and if you happen to come across it, you might say, oh, well, it's not exactly what I was looking at, it's cool, but it's not exactly what I want.
It's one thing is you
Yeah.
search
Right.
through
And
on
I
your way
and I
of
could
searching.
Yeah.
see a scenario where
Stop
it
for a
comes
second.
up on the side of your Facebook page and you click on it for a moment and you sort of file it away, and then 2 months, 3 months later, when you're actually actively searching for the band and you Google it and it comes up, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I sort
it's
of
the
remember
branding
that.
part.
So what's the conclusion here?
The takeaway: where are we heading with social media?
Businesses have to figure out how to make the best use of social media, and the ones that can stay ahead of the curve are going to get the greatest benefit from it.
I think it's back to the Conan story. One tweet, and he filled up his audience when he did his comedy show in one day.
Okay.
Okay.
So there you go.